Tales from the Casino Pit, a podcast where we share stories with people from the casino industry. Now, here's your cast: Jon, Mike, Danielle, Michelle, Pippa, and Jay.
Welcome everybody to our podcast, Tales from the Casino Pit. My name is Jay. You can find me on social media at Casino Dealer Jay. Nice to see you. It's been a while, hasn't it? I have a new setup here. Hopefully you like my background. Not as much as my co-host's background. Hello.
Hey, how's it going? It's good to be back online. I think I missed last week. Oh, did I miss last week? I've missed a few of the last couple of weeks, so it's been kind of fun. The background is, for those who listen to it on a podcast, I thought I knew this guy sitting box, and then I put the picture up, and I was like, "Who's that guy sitting box?" I have no idea who he is. So anyway,
Awesome. Well, welcome. Yeah, I think this might be a ritual for you. You're gonna have a nice background, dice background every single week. And welcome back.
Hey, cool people. Thanks for tuning in. I just woke up, so I'm very, my brain's functioning properly.
Hey. Well, Johnny, thanks for joining. So nice to see you. Yeah, I know you've been busy. You've been working a lot of shifts there in Calgary.
Calgary.
All right. Calgary. Couple of quick comments here. Hey, Sterling. Hey, y'all. Just tuning in after shift. Glad to finally be here on time. Sterling, yeah, hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully your auditions have been going well. Give us an update on Craps. You did talk to me on Instagram before. So, yeah, just like to hear how things are going there.
Hey, Sterling, how's it going?
Awesome.
Joey!
Hey, yep, you must be awake. This ding must have woken you up, and now you've gotten out of bed, gone to the loo, and then you're coming back. So,
so it's probably what, 3 o'clock in the morning there, 4 o'clock in the morning back in Yorkshire. I guess it's got to be close to that.
Holy smokes! Yeah.
I think Joey's getting to the age where he needs that pee break in the middle of the night. That's what it is.
That's hilarious. Hey, up, Paul.
Hey, up. See, yeah.
Speaking of up, Danny, I'm gonna give you a quick little break here. I know we talked about this last week. What shows have you been watching, John?
I was watching, and it shows how much of an idiot I am. So I was watching, the new Lord of the Rings one on Amazon, and then I was also watching it like simultaneously, House of Dragon, and I'd be watching, and then one after the other, like watch 2 episodes, and I was like getting so confused. I was like, oh my god, what story's on which one? And I was like, my god, I was getting like so confused, and then I watched those 2, and it was that was crazy.
That's awesome. Danny, are you ready?
I also have been watching House of Dragon.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't watch Game of Thrones when it was like big, and then I binged it in like 2 weeks so I could watch House of Dragon.
Wow, that's like 8 seasons. Just hammered that home.
8 seasons. Every day, a couple episodes.
No, that's cool. I mean, like I'll tell you, when I was dealing at Yellowhead, I did the exact same thing, but they were like on season 6, and like, being on a dice table and everyone talking about a show that you never watched is so like bad. I'm like, oh, so I wasn't really watching Game of Thrones, but they were talking about like season 6 at the time. And then in the span of like a week and a bit, I actually overtook them, and I watched every single like season, and then I caught up, and I was like, okay, finally I'm in this conversation. So I totally get what you've been doing. Yeah.
I remember years ago, right, at this casino I used to work in. So I used to get up in the morning, get ready for work, and there needs to be this game show on, right? So, you know, it's like a repeat, whatever. And I watched this game show, and I'm like, oh, blah, 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 I'm watching it, and I answer the questions. And then later on in the afternoon, it was just repeated, you know, like in the afternoon. And I remember I used to go to work, and I come down on break, and I go in the staff room, and they put it on because, you know, everyone's just watching. There's not, back then, there wasn't that many TV channels. And I'd know all the answers. So they were like, my God, Jon's like the Rain Man. He knows everything. Who knew he was a silent genius? And I never ever told anybody. Like every week, it happened. I'd watch it in the morning. I'd go in, and I'd be like, oh, everybody knows this one.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, absolutely funny. They used to do that with like they had Jeopardy playing. I forgot what TV channel that was, but they had it on at 3 and then they had it on at like 8. So it's like, yeah, you could do that here too, which was funny. Before I start mentioning some, because Jon, you did mention the show last week and I started watching it. But let's get back to a couple comments here. Sterling says the audition went well. Excellent. Good to hear. Got my license last week. Been dealing biggish games. It's beautiful to be back in the business. Regarding craps, sadly, still not over in the UK. Oh, that's kind of sad to hear.
So Sterling's in the UK?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think the only place I knew of it, and it may have changed now since COVID, actually the casino I originally worked at, the croupiers in Cardiff, they didn't have it for a long time, and then they brought it back. I'm not sure 100% if they still have it now. The COVID restrictions have changed, but they did bring it back. I was just hoping to be like the same table I was on like 30 odd years ago.
That's cool. Yeah. The table with the whole like cage behind it.
Oh, yeah. Because if you go on their website, you can see, and they have a picture. It may have taken it. The last time I looked on it, it was a while ago, but they still had the cage there. I was like, that's exactly how I used to deal it. And it was chaotic. It was so much fun.
Yeah. And it wasn't called the pass line either, right?
Yeah, it's win and don't win. So you can imagine they were like, what's that? Well, you put your money on there, and then if they roll blah, 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 you don't win. Oh, I don't want to play the don't win. I want to win. You know, most of them are like drunken, stupid idiots on the weekend. They'd be like, I want to win. Well, just play that one then. What's that one? That's the don't win. No, I won't play that one.
That's so cool.
Reverse.
All right. Joey says, yes, it's very early here. Jon knows I'm watching. What's this show?
Oh, Auf Wiedersehen, Pet. It's, basically it was a brilliant show back in, I think in the 80s. And essentially what it is all these people from Newcastle, these like builders, tradespeople, they go over to Germany and they actually work on these building sites. So, and that's why they're saying, oh, Wiedersehen, Pet, like, was it whatever. But it was a brilliant show. It really was such a good show.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, last comment. The casino and Knots doesn't have one, sadly. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, speaking of shows that you mentioned, Jon, Welcome to Wrexham. I watched that whole season. Holy smokes.
How great is that show?
It's great. That's why I'm wearing my FC Edmonton jacket right now, because I got into the whole like football craze of that show, and the fact that like Ryan Reynolds and the other dude bought like
Rob McElhenney,
yeah, and they made songs and stuff about him. That was so cool. The one thing about that show though is like the hoodlum episode where they're talking about like the gangs coming in to like meet other gangs, and sometimes they do it on the pitch or whatever, like if they're in the stadium there's like seats between them, but then sometimes they handle it outside, and then like the whole thing, it's like that one scene where you see like, oh, there's like 12 of them from like the one team and 12 of the fans from the other team. They come in and they just walk up to each other like an old gang show, and it's like, all right, let's go, and then they start like fighting each other. I'm like, how do you who schedules that? That's my question.
I'm from Cardiff, right? So I remember the first time I took my wife home, I said, okay, I'll take her to a soccer game. So Cardiff City is the place, and the local rivalry with Swansea City. So it's kind of like a similar rivalry, I guess, to Edmonton and Calgary, right? So the fans used to fight and blah, blah, blah. And back then you'd have like literally like the cages around the wire fences, and they try and climb, they separate the fans and they try and climb over and fight each other. And so I took my wife. I'm like, no, we're not going to go. You know, we'll go in the family enclosure. There probably not going to be fights there, so we'll stay in there. So we sat there, and then so my wife's never been to a soccer game. She's like, oh my god, this is crazy. What's going to happen? So they came. There was like 500 extra like police and stewards, and it was everywhere. It was just crazy. And so we go in there, and then they all of a sudden they rush towards like the Swansea fans come from one side and the Cardiff fans, and they're trying to climb over the fence to fight each other, right? And there's literally these two policemen come like walking along, and they've got these massive German shepherds, and there's a guy there with like a video camera, and they walk up and they open the gate, and my wife's like, "What's going to happen?" I'm like, "Just watch." So they open the gates. And then they just let the dogs in, and these two golden retrievers, these German shepherds rush in, and they start like going like rah at everybody. And my wife's like, "Is this normal?" I was like, "Pretty much." And like everybody, you're willing to fight somebody, but you're not willing to take on two angry German shepherds, and they just scattered. And it was like the funniest part. It was so funny.
Oh man, that's insane.
But it's not like that anymore, really. I don't think.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It was weird to see that in the video. It's just like, well, you bring 18 people, we'll bring 18 people. What time? 5:30. I can't do 5.
Yeah, I gotta be home for my dinner, my tea at 6:30. Yeah.
My son is swimming. I can't make it.
Yeah. How about Tuesday? Tuesday? Yeah.
The thing was, it was just so set up, right? It's like you see them just walking one side, one and the other side, and then they're like, "You ready? Okay, yeah," and then they go. I'm like, why wouldn't somebody with a car run over the other dudes before they make it to that place? It's like I just don't understand that. It's like, let's have a predetermined location where we can settle this once and for all.
And I think it's the concept you don't really see over here, right? Because obviously the size of Canada and the US, where people travel to games. They'll go, let's sit on a coach, like a bus, for 4 hours, 5 hours. We'll get drunk going there. We'll watch a 2-hour game, and that's if they let you in. They may not even let you in. You get there and you're like, nah. I used to get stopped all the time. I was never into the violence thing because I got no hair, I'd shaved head. They go, the police, I go to away games, they go, yeah, you can't come in. I'm like, what do you mean? No. You can go in the family end. I was like, I don't want to go in there. You can't come in. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, and then you go there, you drink too much, and then you just go home on the bus back home. And it was actually a lot of fun, right? But it's something you don't really do here. Maybe sometimes for the Calgary Edmonton game because it's pretty close, but that's
yeah. I don't think we're even like that. I don't. I have no idea how. Well, I don't know. No, it's nothing even close to that, John. When I watched it, I'm like, what?
No, not the fighting part, but I mean the traveling supporters. I mean, that's the fun part.
Yeah,
not the actual the hooligan stuff. It's that's a lot of idiots, for the most part.
Yeah, I guess so. In LA, they have the same thing, and it's not just hockey. It's it's football, and it's not just football. It's baseball. That's a big thing, right? The rivalries there. So, Joey says it's not like that anymore. Okay,
no,
well, that's good.
No, yeah, it used to be really bad a long time ago, but they made it so hard to do it. These that guy in I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but obviously you should watch it. They stop you you can't go to the banning from the grounds, or they make you so then you lose out on the whole fun of being a fan, right? You can't go to the ground and watch a game, or you have to go to the police and all right, between the time of this to this, that guy, he's like, you can't go into the town center and be there when there's a game on. I'm like, well, you can't drink in a bar with your friends, have to sit at home like that.
Yeah.
So the deterrent is usually not worth the actual going and having a fight with someone. Yeah. So.
All right. Okay. Yeah. No. So I've finished that season, and I'm starting to watch Ted Lasso. So I've watched the first.
Ted Lasso is good. See,
Ted.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome to Wrexham is the live version of Ted Lasso.
Exactly. We have a couple of hellos. Hey, Clay. Evening, guys. East Coast. Very nice.
Clay, how's it going?
I love that photo of your dice table. That's amazing. And of course, past guest Christy. Hi, Christy. Hello from Vegas.
Hey, Christy, how's it going?
You're not working tonight. What's going on? She was laughing at your. Remember that one call?
The Moose? Yeah, that was the Canadian one.
Yeah.
I'd do that. Saying that, have you ever played that drinking game, the Moose game? Where you have to go like that? and then you kind of like have to point to someone, and they have to do it. But the people on either side of the person. So say for instance, if Danny's in the middle, and so she goes like that, and the people on either side have to go like that and like that, and it gets even harder. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause then you have to drink if you mess up, but it's
No, Danny.
yeah.
Danny, do you have a hard 10 call?
What?
Do you have a hard 10 call? I know you just woke up.
Sorry. And do you know what? Honestly, like, I hardly remember anything from when we had craps. Like, it has been longer now since I learned the game that I haven't dealt it than I was dealing it.
Well, yeah, I guess you're like hardcore poker now, hey?
I mean, it's not by choice.
No, I know
Like,
that feeling.
yeah, we just don't have that many like housemen, and the housemen who want to do it or like to do it, you know. So
Okay.
it's a little bit, but yeah, like we were talking about bringing it back. Like we have like one of like our pit managers is like hardcore craps guy. He is said to have been really good. And so he was like, we should bring it back. I said, yeah, but we have to do like a refresh course. Like, there's no way you're just going to throw us all on the table after not dealing it for like years and years. Yeah.
Because like Danny, look what you're missing. Look how much that guy there on sick is enjoying dealing craps. Yeah, look at that guy. He's having the time of his life. And just to see, look at this game. Yeah, that's why you're like, that's the best game I've ever dealt.
You must have some exciting dice calls.
yeah, because he's on sick and he's like, I just don't want to say anything. You know, I want to sign that early out thing.
He's probably one of those depressed dice dealers. He's like 10, 10,
like,
10, perfect fuck. 10. My ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
after one night with me, she doesn't like men. That's a 10. He's like, I'm sorry. God, yeah. Anyways, Daryl says hello. Life alert.
Hey, life alert. How's it going, buddy?
Nice to see you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love football. Yeah, I love football now. Not football, and the other football now. So I love two footballs. That's really cool.
One of the things I liked about Welcome to Wrexham is they're speaking English, but they still all had like subtitles.
Yeah. Yes. So, I'm used to that, watching like when they interview like someone that's Filipino and they're speaking English and you still see like all the subtitles. I'm like, I understand it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
what do you do? I'm like, yeah, it was like, he's speaking English. Why does he have to have some? I can understand when it's like Ozzy Osbourne, where even I'm like, is that really a word he just said there? But you know,
I disagree. I think everything should always have subtitles. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're speaking the perfect English. I will watch like the most American show, like most American sitcom, and I have to have subtitles on it. No matter what.
What?
Always.
Well, no, I have to agree. A different reason though. Like I'm deaf now just from like DJing, because I play super loud music and now I've just ruined my ears forever. So, and the thing with like my TV, like when I'm watching Netflix, is that it's like so quiet when they're talking, and they're like talking really quietly and you see all like the subtitles. And then like when an explosion comes, or if they're like driving outside, it's like so fucking loud and you're like, oh my God. So yeah, I try to keep it low and I'm trying to like watch it. And they made the subtitles nicer. Like the text has been upgraded, and yeah.
It's not like a big black box to like, no. Yeah, it's just like nice little words. And like, I find I get jokes better if I can read them too. Yeah. I don't know. Everything.
I saw Naked Gun. You know, the first Naked Gun, that really old movie? I saw it in Israel when I was working there in Eilat, which is on right at the bottom of like Israel. And it was, I didn't know this. Me and my friend went into it. Was, Dick again, let's go watch that movie. And they had subtitles. But the problem is like everybody there is reading the subtitles because they were like in Hebrew. And so if there was like back-to-back jokes, they were laughing at the first joke when they read the subtitles and laugh over the second joke. So me and my friend were like, did you hear that? We're like, oh, forget it. Just if they were too quick together, we couldn't hear it because they were laughing over the. And it was so weird. And it was a terrible. It literally was like concrete steps that you sat on, and then there was an intermission, and they were like, all right, the movie stopped, and it said something in Hebrew, and we're like, what's going on? And everyone else get up and they walk out. So they just went outside and had a smoke. It's like everyone's smoking and like, oh, we got a beer. So we had a beer and stuff. And then we went back in and watched the other half. It was the strangest movie ever. And there was one part, it was kind of like they probably wouldn't do it now, but I remember there was one bit was like probably slightly offensive to people from Israel and nobody laughed. And then me and my friend was like laughing, going, oh, and I was like, oh, that's probably not the best place to be laughing about that right now.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's crazy. Couple of things. Okay, so Daryl says the problem with subtitles is that I watch the typing and not the show. Do you have that problem?
No, absolutely not. Like, so if you watch anything dubbed, it's terrible. How can you pay attention to the show when their mouths aren't moving to the words that are coming out? Why wouldn't you rather, like, you should be able to read and watch at the same time?
But I in all honesty though, I think if you're going to put subtitles in, they should be written how that guy is speaking. Joey's on, like, hey up, and like write down hey up, and you're like, what does that mean? I don't know. Like if because I remember Train Spotting. I remember. Have you ever read? Remember the movie Train Spotting? Someone gave me his book, a book. The original author. He said, "Oh, read this book." I was like, "Oh, author of Train Spotting. No, I'll read it." It was when we were on the ships, so I was like, "Okay." And I'm pretty sure it was written how people from Glasgow would speak, and I was like, "These are not even words." It was just like I would have to read it 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, I have no idea what that meant. This is taking me far too long to read this. It was like learning to read again a different language. It was so strange.
Yeah. Trainspotting is a good movie. Well, yeah. I mean, it's stood the test of time, I guess. It's memorable.
We've talked about this before. I think we should choose the voiceover for all the shows. Like the accents, like I would be so much better. I'd be so much. You go, this show is pretty shitty, but I'm making them sound like they're from Yorkshire or from wherever, from Newfoundland. Can you imagine watching The Crown and all from Newfoundland? You know what I mean? Come from afar. You know what I mean?
Oh, I just think people would, yeah. They wouldn't use it the right way. So, wouldn't it be?
Oh, you obviously could select the language, but then
I was just saying,
I would keep watching the same show and just change the accents all the time.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I'd be like, I love this show. It's really good. How does it sound like, all of a sudden they're like, we just changed them. It's like Jamaican. Or, like, oh my God, it's like The Crown in Jamaican.
Just imagine like watching like a hockey show and then like switching it to like Filipino accent, but Filipino English accent. And it's like, oh, yeah, that Connor McDavid, he's going down the side and he's going. It's just like coming out of like a normal person's like mouth. It's like that guy's not Filipino, but he's got the accent. I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. Yeah. And sorry. All right, Joey says I should go with subtitles.
Oh, for sure. When I first came here, I used to go out with me and my wife would go out. We'd meet her friends, and the first probably like, I don't know, minute or two, I'd be talking. Her friends would literally be like looking at my wife and going like, what is he saying? What is that? They're like, so now I literally slow it down and I sound more, I don't know, comprehensible,
okay.
I guess, to most people.
Coherent.
That last thing that Joey said is like a subtitle that needs its own subtitle. I don't know.
Even I could with them at times.
He said, even I could do with them at times, so I ain't got a clue what I just said.
Oh man,
See,
that's funny.
I get it. I get it. Even when he wrote it down, I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, you get it. Old school Barnsley.
Mhm.
I don't even know how to say Barnsley.
Yeah, Barnsley.
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 Oh.
Gerald says speech bubble out of the speaker's mouth would be cool. Yes.
Bye,
Fair
John.
enough. All right.
Oh, you going? Who's going? Or am I going?
You were gone for a couple.
Oh.
See, it's like that Homer Simpson when you go back into the
Oh yeah,
bushes.
because you can kind
Yeah.
of like
see,
and then you
like
go
you're
back in.
gone. That's hilarious. Sir, you can't be sitting on the center action there. You have to
Exactly.
get out of
You're
the
slowing the
table.
game down.
You can't be sitting on this internet.
Yeah.
They're all waiting for him to move.
You just say
Yeah.
it in such a polite way too. Excuse me, sir. Can
Yeah.
you not?
There you go. Sterling says, I felt the same way reading A Clockwork Orange. Have you read that? I haven't read that.
I've seen the movie and I was like, what? It's strange.
Mm.
Stanley Kubrick is weird.
Daryl says breakaway Hindu hockey movie. Okay. Is that a recommendation? Maybe we'll look at that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Did you know there, like on Netflix, there's an Indian version of Forrest Gump? They remade it. Lal
Yeah.
Singh Chadha. I watched it. Did you watch it?
No, I saw it, and I was when I saw it, I was like, oh, and like it was stupid. I was like, oh, like they see them things, and I'm like, oh, he looks like Forrest Gump. And then I read the thing, I was like, based on Forrest Gump. I was like,
yeah,
they didn't remade it in India somewhere.
Yes. And they paid homage to the actual movie. There's a lot of different things, but there are some things that are like identical. Like the dialogue is identical. So
Jenna.
it kept me there. What? Oh, Jenny. Jenny. It's not Jenny. I'm sorry. It's not Jenny.
Jenny.
It's another name. Yeah. Yeah. He does a few different things. Like the running. He does like the running. I'm not just watch it. I'm not gonna ruin it for you. It's actually I stayed up and I watched it all. So
he didn't meet Elvis then? Or did he meet Elvis?
The difference is that this takes place in India. So he goes to different cities. He goes to Mumbai, and then I had to actually Google the events that were happening. It's a little more serious in some of the events where there's a massacre that they.
Did they do some of the cool things?
Yes,
Forrest Gump was so popular. When he was playing ping pong against himself and
they did.
Presidents, and he's like, I got shot in the butt.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Dan.
There is a Lieutenant Dan character, yes, but it's different. So there's a twist there, but I liked it. I didn't mind it. And then there's also a Bubba Gump type of character too. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. That's all I have to say.
Did you guys watch the Elvis movie?
Not yet. Is it good?
I liked it.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was pretty good.
I liked it as well, and I loved all the homage to all of the those singers in those clubs and stuff, like Little Richard. Even though they didn't even say it was Little Richard, if you know, you know, and you're just loved it. It was really, really great.
So, talking about movies, did you watch The Hustle? That with what's his name? Adam Sandler.
No.
It's actually really good. It's like a basketball movie, but anyway.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I did.
Yeah, I thought it was good, and I didn't realize the guy was a legit basketball player from Spain or whatever he was from. So this is quick. So this out here. So on October the 2nd, it was my son's 15-year-old, right? So it was his birthday, and my wife got 2 tickets for him and I to go there, right? And neither of us really are into basketball, but it could be cool. I know nothing about basketball, and so, but we went with another dad, a friend of ours, and his son, and they're super into basketball. So we go there and we go there, whatever. So we go and I line up and I said to my son, I said, "Oh, do you want to get a jersey?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll get a Utah Jazz one." I'm like, "You're gonna get heckled?" He goes, "I don't care." So we go line up and we go through there. And so I'm like, "Oh, I don't want a jersey, but I'll buy a hat because I'm here. I'll buy a hat." So anyway, so they're trying to find a jersey for him, and I'm like, oh, I'll get one of those hats. And it was like, this hat, like, looks like this, $25. Right next to it, a hat looks exactly the same, $35. I was like, I'll just have the $25 one. I'll have that one. So they bring it over, and it's in a plastic bag, right? So I get it. And while they're trying to do this thing, you know, for my son, trying to find one that fits and the right name on the back and all the rest of it, I've got this hat. So I take it out of the bag and I put it on, and I'm like, holy smoke, man. It doesn't fit. It's really small. So, you know, I take it up, and it's the one with, like, you know, like the black thing at the back, the popper things there. So I'm like, I'm moving it, and oh my God. I was like, I know COVID, I gained weight, but I didn't realize it's all in my head. So I'm trying to put this thing on, and then I'm going like, and it doesn't fit. And I keep going until I'm literally on the last two things. And I managed to put it on. I'm like, holy shit, man. This is the tightest baseball cap I've ever had. And the guy comes rushing over, and he's like, stop. You're not supposed to take it out of the bag. I was like, why not? I've got to try it on. He goes, that's a that's a kid's hat. I was like, what? He goes, well, why'd you give me a kid's hat? And I'm like, just give me another one. So then he switched it over, and I was like, oh, okay. I don't have a fat head. It was just a child's hat. So yeah. So that was the reason I bought this hat. So I may never wear it again, but yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool hat. I like that. I don't really have a basketball team. But yeah.
Yeah, because so while we were sat there, so me and my son, obviously, like, he knows more about basketball than I do. He does kind of watch it and play and like stuff. So I was sat there, and my only contribution was, I was like, there's a guy from The Hustle. Like, the guy was actually playing. He was the only player I knew. I didn't know anybody else, and he's not even one of the main ones. He's kind of like whatever he is. But yeah, so I was sat there, like, that was my only contribution to the conversation. I was like that, you know, like the simpleton, you know, the village idiot. They're like, oh, we just bring him along. He's harmless. He knows nothing. And that was me.
Did Adam Sandler do it? So that movie was about basketball. Was there another movie that he did with basketball where it was like rare diamond that he was like bidding on, or rare gem, hidden gem, I think it was called? Was that him? Anyways, that movie is really good. You should watch it. Hidden Gems.
Hidden Gems? Okay.
Yeah, Hidden Gem.
All
I
right.
believe.
Adam Sandler is weird. There's a movie that's like terrible. And you're like, oh my God, why did I watch this? I just wasted 2 hours of my life for that garbage. And then you watch another one, you're like, oh my God, that was awesome. It's the weirdest thing. He's so inconsistent.
Night at the Museum. Awesome.
Museum. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, before my story and before a couple of questions here, it's like 32 minutes. I should have started with the story, but I guess I'll like end with it. Nobody's even on anymore to like actually hear it. But anyways, Joy says, right back to casino, been offered a gig to deal a casino party night at a mate's house. Any advice would be appreciated. What game? How long to deal? It's my first paying gig, and I don't want to F it up.
What games do they want you to deal? Are they asking you to deal like blackjack or like roulette or?
Yeah, roulette. Roulette's easy. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think roulette's good for everybody.
Yeah, because there's no real thinking involved as a player for roulette. It's just like, here's your chips, just stick them on stuff.
Yeah, they can all be drunk and just kind of like throw like chips around, you know. It'll
and then
be fun.
And then you can go for the payout too. I mean, you can kind of do the similar thing with blackjack as well. But I mean, if you're having like a, I don't know, maybe a tournament, do it for like an hour and just, hey, look, we'll have a tournament, and then make the guy put some prizes in, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Roulette's hard. You know why? Because people come in and like if you're the only one dealing, they're gonna like bet all this stuff and like who's chipping for you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's a pain in the ass.
Himself?
What's that?
It's just him by himself?
Well, probably. So I mean if I was dealing, you'd probably say, well, blackjack. It's boring. Blackjack would be boring. But I would probably want to just deal poker. As much as I'm not a fan of like dealing poker, if it's out there and it's like with people, I'd definitely just deal poker.
Yeah, poker would be too.
But the only thing with poker though, you have to understand like blackjacks. I think blackjack's simple to play, but tough to understand how to play. Do you know what I mean? Like you go,
Yeah.
you just don't have to get, up to 21. And if you go over, you lose, right? But poker is, I think it's kind of intimidating for new people to play, especially if it's a house party. His friends are going to get drunk and they'd be like, all right. And again, it depends how many. If it's like, if Joey is a friend, you go, okay, well, how about we do it? Because we used to do, Jay, do you remember on the ships, they used to do this, the blackjack tournaments, and it was like, okay, it runs for an hour, and it's the top 7 hands. Everyone buys in, you play 7 hands, and boof, and then top player from that round, you put your score up, and then you just keep playing 7 hands. And after the end of an hour, we have the final, and then those 7 hands win, whatever, right? So then the prize could be anything, but it's easy to play then, and people can kind of like, I don't really know anything else, but I think poker is. Some people is going to lose, right? There's people who understand how to play, and the rest are going to lose. Who don't.
Yeah. I actually didn't mind those blackjack tournaments. It was better than Caribbean stud. So
yeah, exactly. Rather than going, okay, it's just like $5 black, because then people are involved, right? Say, okay, we can do this, and you go, all right, well, somebody's going to win. Whatever the price could be, it doesn't really matter, I suppose. But there's an element of like, of a competition, right?
Yeah. Oops, sorry. Sterling says can't go wrong with blackjack or poker, as both are simple to deal and play and easier for drunk people to understand.
That's exactly right.
Joy saying they wanting oh my god, they wanting a bit off, but moving my gears are right pain. Joey has his own tables. He has a really nice setup. He's shown me. And he has a Pygo set too, Danny. So, yeah. Sterling says, I love dealing roulette. Fast-paced, big bets, big payouts. Really makes me work hard, and just love when people play the racetrack with neighbors and French bets. Yeah.
Yes. I used to like, I love roulette as well, and I used to like the buttons too. Like the racetrack. The problem I had with the racetrack was I never bothered to learn the word. I knew roughly where they were because you all know the French bets. I was like, where's the guy throws in like 2, 4, 6, 17 on neighbors by 5, and you're like, okay, there it is, and then you have to put them on, but like in the middle of the game. But like I used to like the buttons too. That was kind of a cool way to do it too. But I think I love dealing with after craps. I love dealing roulettes. Everything else was kind of like I didn't really like. Well, I said I didn't like. I didn't. Yeah, they were my preferred games to deal.
I think my preferred games keep changing every day. Depends on how tired you are. Because I like Baccarat when you're sitting down and nobody's talking to you. That's a really good, really good table.
Yeah, I like Baccarat when I'm sitting down and there's no game.
Yeah, I like Baccarat when the player isn't swearing at you and throwing chips in your face. I like
exactly.
That. Yeah. All right. Joey says I was thinking blackjack tournament, but Pygo would be the one I choose. Yeah. Sterling's asking about buttons, John.
It was essentially they were like 3 tiers. When I dealt in London, they had kind of like the first, second, third dozen. Excuse me, and they were kind of like in tiers, right? And it was, you imagine like the a little disc, kind of like the llamas you have on craps, but in the middle it would say like 2. So we had the number, and on like north, south, east, west were the neighbors. So basically what you do is they would call them out, and then he would go to this like little rack, and he pull up these llamas, and he put them down, and he put the chips in front above them. So it'd be like say 2, 4, 6, 17. And when I used to deal in London, the guys used to throw $100 chips, like 5, whatever it was, like 1,000, whatever. And then he just throw it, and he go, okay, and he call it out, say 2, 4, 6, 17, and neighbors by 25. So then you get a 25, and you put them down, and then you just have to remember, okay, that guy there, not the guy sitting box, but maybe that guy there. It was, they threw him in, and then it was kind of cool because you know what it's like. A lot of times people would bet like they're kind of like favorite neighbors, whatever. So it was really kind of cool. And then the number would come in, he'd look down and go, okay, everyone on here, and then you could just clear them out. It was it was a cool way to do it. I like the buttons better than the racetrack, to be honest. But it was just I use them a lot more, to be honest.
Interesting. Yeah, we've never really had that here in Canada. So Vancouver, but they use it a different way. They just use it for any call bets. but there's no neighbors, there's no orphans or anything like that.
Yeah, it was cool. And to be honest, a lot of people, it was just really kind of cool because a lot of times there, they would do it. People would just wait, right? And they'd be like, okay, you knew they were coming, and it was, you know, like a lot of times you spin the ball and you're like, oh, okay, I'll put your bets up. You got a guys who they only wanted to play these neighbor bets, and they throw them in, and you usually, and it was practice too, right? You know, you start to use them, and you got like faster doing it. It's like taking all the call bets on craps. You imagine like when they're throwing in, you know, like, okay, I want hopping bets and I want this as the dice are going out, and you're calling them and shit. It was just more like that, right? It was just it was a cool way to do it. But the problem I found with the racetrack was when I dealt with the racetrack, it was slower, I suppose, because people would go, okay, and they would give you like a stack of reds, you know what I mean? Or the stack of their, you know, the color. I go, oh, I want blah, blah, blah. And then you cut them down. You go, okay, I'll put these on the track, and then put them on the track so they wouldn't have to do it. But the only the bad thing was some guys, this is when I was, like I said, when I was in London, some guys would play the numbers and then they would do all these call bets. And then you're like, oh man, is this over the maximum? Because if it comes in, you're like, oh my God, he's like, they bet all this. And you're like, ugh, all right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was interesting, but.
Yeah, I'd love to deal a game like that and just see how it goes. So I've never been privy to that. So
yeah, roulette used to be such a busy game. Like it was interesting, right? Because there was so many different things to do. Like, you know, like we're saying about the call bets. Okay, this is like neighbor bets, and then, you know, like tier by whatever, you know, all those different things, right? So it was just a fun way to deal. It was a lot more than, and then I don't know. One of the, like a long time ago, I was going to go to South Africa when Sun City was there, and it was like millions of people, like in the 80s, used to go over to Sun City. It was a big thing there. And they used to talk about maximum bets, where they go, okay, I want, you know, 5 by the maximum, or this by the maximum. And then there's certain ways you can calculate it, because kind of like a picture bet, right? 5 but 1. And then the payout was this, and it was like, oh man, they took like roulette, like crazy roulette, to like another level. But I just never went there, just because like I didn't really agree with apartheid, and I was like, I just don't want to go there. But I knew a lot of people went there and said it was just crazy.
Yeah, that was your dream casino, wasn't it?
Yeah, so many people I worked there, and I was like, man, I wanted to go there because I knew the like just in a gambling experience. I think if I look back, if they didn't have that, like the whole apartheid thing, maybe I would have gone there. But because of that, I was like, Sun City was I would have, even to have gone there to gamble, maybe, I don't know, but it was just something I would have liked to have just experienced, I think.
No,
in its heyday.
In its heyday, yeah. I'm sure it's different now. So, all right. I forgot the title of this show. That's okay. Oh, a crazy thing happened. Sorry, I'm reading it now. A crazy thing happened last weekend. The thing that happened last weekend was, so my wife was like, oh, I'm gonna go get some Slurpees. I'm like, okay, take the boy with you. And my boy, he's 7. And she's like, do you want anything? I'm like, yeah, grab me a coffee. I need a coffee. Grab me some Tim's. I love Tim's. She's like, okay. So she goes and gets the Slurpees, and then she comes back and she swings by to Tim Hortons. So good thing she brought my son. My son's like, hey, I want to get a binder. Freaking binder is like $18. This hockey card binder. Oh my God, $18 for this stupid binder. And then it's not stupid. It's a nice binder. And and he wanted 3 packs of cards. So he used his own money. And then he came home, and I was just like really happy for my coffee. And he's sitting across the table. Next thing you know, he's like, Dad, I won a prize. I'm like, what are you talking about? No, you didn't. He's like, yeah, I won a trip, Dad. I won a trip. I'm like, no, you didn't. You probably just won one of those, like, it's just a card where you have to enter in, and you have to sign in to win. I'm like, just show me the card. So then I'm like looking at this card. I'm like, oh, that's weird. It just says like prize card. And I'm like, what? It's purple. So I'm like, okay. So I go and I eBay first off. And I just wanted to see. It's like, well, maybe this card's worth some money. I don't find it on eBay. I see these yellow cards with like, these things where you win hockey cards and stuff like that. So I'm like reading this freaking card. And it's like a grand prize. So my son pulled a grand prize out of a pack of cards. Here's a picture for those of you on the thing. So he won one of 5 grand prize. He won the trip. He won the trip for the 2023 Stanley Cup. 1 Stanley Cup game. So it's airfare, accommodations, tickets for 2 for a final next year, like in the spring. And I was looking at the car. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I was just floored. I was floored. The odds of him winning was 1 in 3.77 million. So this kid could have got hit by lightning 3 times before he could have won this card. So yeah, it's 1 of 5 in the country, and he got one. It's crazy. So we're gonna watch a Stanley Cup game. Watch, it's gonna be in Edmonton, or it's gonna be in Calgary. That's what I'm assuming is gonna happen.
Yeah, your flight to Calgary on WestJet in the 45-minute flights.
Okay, you at least get flare air, okay?
Oh yeah. It's not even like first class. It's just coach.
Economy.
Oh my god!
Because when I saw I told you that, like you said, a crazy thing happened last week. And okay, so I know this couple, they're seniors, and it wasn't I think was it last week? Might have been last week, but I found out about it last week. So anyway, so their house is on one level, and it was one of those days where it was sunny, and so they kept the door open just to get the breeze and whatever. And they were there, and so they're like, well, what's that noise? They can hear something coming from their bedroom. So they go to the bedroom, and there's a noise coming from the bathroom. So then I go, okay. So they go into the bathroom, and they open the door, and there's a noise coming from the toilet, and the lid is down. So like, what the hell's going on? So they lift up the lid, and there's a squirrel in the toilet. And they were like, oh my God. So they dropped, obviously they're like, oh my God, shocked. There's a squirrel in the toilet. Who expects a squirrel in the toilet when the lid's down? So, they left, and then they went to their neighbor to say, oh, can you help us? And tell them the story. And like, oh my God, wasn't there. So I had to check another neighbor. It wasn't there. So then anyway, they come back with like a net, like a fishing net, to come back to catch the squirrel. So they go into the bathroom, and they open the lid. It's quiet now. They open the lid. All of a sudden, he's gone to the great, acorn tree in the sky, whatever. I don't know. So he's no longer there. So we have to fish him out. But I was like, right now, they're still going like, how did they get in to the toilet with the lid down? So I couldn't think of it. I was like, I have no idea. And like, they couldn't think of it. And, my wife was like, I can't think of it. They were like, did it come up through the drain? Or like, how did it go in? Did it go in and go like, oop? Because they have a dog. So they're like, was he that smart? He's like, I'll hide here for a second. Just and hide. And then, went tragically wrong. And then someone's like, the lid was probably open. He jumped in, and then it fell down because he was just being like, rambunctious, I suppose. But either way, it was like, how does it squirrel? I was just like, the weirdest thing.
Oh my God.
I was like, well, at least the good thing is they didn't find out there was a squirrel in it when they sat on the toilet. So that was the one good thing that happened out of the whole situation.
Oh man. That's brilliant. Thanks, Joey. Thanks for the congrats. That's very nice. Just a quick roulette comment for Sterling. Can we agree people who use colored chips for outside bets are the worst?
Oh gosh, yes.
If you're only playing outside with your colored chips, yes. I don't mind if you you bought in for like your $100 bill and you got all inside chips and you had like $5 left, and then I'm calling no more bets, and before my hand swipes, you place it down on black. I don't care.
And it used to drive me crazy. Like they were like, okay, they buy in like, okay, I want to buy in for like dollars or pounds or whatever it is, and then okay, whatever, and they're like, okay, I'm putting 5 on red. Like, why didn't you just buy in for 5? And then just put 1 on there? No. And it's like, okay, it makes no difference. It's just like you win $5. You're just like, oh, look at me, impressive with 5 chips on red. I'm like, no one's impressed.
Oh yeah. I don't like when they buy in and they go all chips, and then they bet like 3 numbers, 1 straight up for each 3 numbers. And they have 197 chips in front of them. It's like that's the worst.
There was one time my wife and I were on this cruise, working on this cruise, and this family came in, and it was like I think 6 of them. And so we get there, and before the casinos open, they sit on the table, and then like they all buy in, and they buy in for $100 each in $1 each. So it's $100 each of them. And I'm like, what the hell? So you have to count this. So they each of them buy in for $100 with $1 bills. I'm like, that's weird. And while we're doing this, they're like, oh, guess what? We saved up our gambling money by saving our dollars for an entire year in a milk churn. I was like, what? All of this money when it's in a milk churn? They're like, yes, for a year. I was like, what? So every single dollar they got, like, from change and stuff like that, they put it in the milk churn, and then they brought it on. And every time you saw them, they didn't bother changing it up, going to the cash desk and go, oh, can I change this up? They just enjoyed making you count out. And there's like, 6 of them. So you're like, son of a bitch. 20, yeah, 20. Oh my God. And at the end of the cruise, I was just sick to death of them. All of us were, right? And then they knew it. They're like, you don't like us, do you? We're like, you're just making us work so hard where you could just go over there and you put it through a machine, it counts in, and you go, here's your 1 chip. You know what I mean? Go cash it in. Oh my God. It was so awful.
Oh man. All right, let me get to a question here, because I want to go on a cruise. I do. And John, you've been talking about a cruise. Do you want to go on a cruise, Dani?
I want to go on a cruise. I've actually been talking about going on a cruise lately as well.
Okay. So there's a new ship, and I saw Pippa post it, and it was like the icon. Amazing. It's beautiful. It's crazy, huge, and it's probably got a lot of features. It's like West Edmonton Mall. Everything the mall has, that ship has it in there too. So it's like they put the mall on the ship, and it's like go. And there's so much stuff to do. And I saw like the commercials, and I saw like I can't even begin to explain all this stuff. But for you, I mean, you want to go on a cruise. So my question to you would be, what is something that you want to see on the cruise that's going to make you say, wow, like this is one of the reasons why I came on this cruise?
Dani, you go first.
No, I don't want to go first. I'm processing.
Okay. Well, it's weird that you say this and you bring it up, because my wife and I are looking to go on a cruise like next August, because it'll be our 25th anniversary.
Nice.
So,
congrats.
And it's weird. So we're like, oh, we went to be speaking to this, this travel agent, and they're like, oh, there's this deal, and da, 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 da. We're like, well, no, well, the intent is we want to go back on Royal Caribbean because that's where we met, and it's 25 years, our anniversary, blah 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 blah. So anyway, so we went there, and the oddest thing, like the ship we're looking at, it's going to St. Thomas, St. Martin, and we've been to those like tons of times. And the day we're in St. Thomas is our anniversary. And that's St. Thomas is the place that we bought my wife's engagement ring.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we're going to go. I'm not buying another one. Well, at least I don't know. She hasn't told me I'm buying another one, but you never know. But yeah, so, but the thing is, it gets just huge, right? I mean, like all the ships that I worked on for Royal Caribbean, pretty much all of them, they're all probably just got recycled into tin cans now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff they have on it is, there was this one, it's got like the one we're going on is the Harmony of the Seas, right? Because it's just the run we kind of liked, and it's there at the time. And it's like a 10-story slide. I was like, nope, not going to happen. I'm scared of heights. I have trouble going up a ladder. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to drop down this massive slide.
Oh, yeah.
When you said like, oh, this cruise is like West Edmonton Mall on there, I'm just thinking like, oh, is there going to be like a roller coaster or like some crazy slide or like that like surf thing, where you're like not actually surfing, but you feel like you're surfing.
The Wave Rider.
Yeah. That.
Yep.
Like that kind of stuff would just, like, it doesn't even matter if it's like small. I mean, it would be just something that you'd be like, wow, this is so cool. They could do pretty much anything now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've never even like seen like the inside of a cruise ship ever in my life. So I'm pretty sure I would just be amazed by everything. Like, how did they make this on a boat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough if all you see is like the commercials, right? But I mean, if you watch a commercial, you'll totally understand like what I'm saying. For me, I mean, I've only been on one cruise as a passenger, and it was a Carnival cruise, and I still had fun. And it's not really like a high tier, it wasn't really like a high tier ship where you had all of like the amenities like the Royal Caribbean ships do, but I still managed to like enjoy my time there. The casino staff were like nice, and they had craps, they had poker. I mean, it was really fun to go and play, and then the entertainment was really cool. I won in bingo, like dumb things like that. Yeah, I mean, it's just things that you remember, right? But I mean, I know it's more. It's not just the ship, you know. It's a lot. It has a lot to do with like where you're going and like,
Yeah.
you know. So for me, I just think like food. I really hope that it has good food.
Oh, good food.
Yeah, because
But do you know what? Sorry,
Mhm.
that I, saw
Hi,
when we were
John.
booking it. Oh, did I pop away again? Hello.
no.
Step away from the lights. It's
What?
yeah, they were talking about like preferred like food and like food packages and drink packages, and I'm like, I'm from Britain and I was in
Hello?
casinos. You can't hear me?
Am I missing?
No,
Is John
I-
missing?
no.
No.
I can't see John.
Oh, really?
Are you like that? Where's John gone? Oh, there he is.
I couldn't even hear what John, like I thought Jay was going crazy. Jay was like ha ha ha, like laughing at something you were saying, and like for me it's just a black screen with like a loading symbol. I'm like, what are you talking? Who are you talking to?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think it's just your internet connection there.
But I tell you what, it was really fun. That one time when I was still working Royal Caribbean, they did a Britain cruise, which I don't even know how often they do it. I only ever did one, but it was kind of like we were based out of Harwich, and it went to like Dublin and Scotland, and it went round. It was like obviously us British people loved it because it was just like, hey, let's just go off and get drink too much in British places and just go back on the ship and deal. But we had like 700 British pensioners on. They never came into the casino and stiffed everybody for tips, but it was like, oh, who cares? Whatever. We made no money, but it was a fun place just to be home, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that would be fun if you're like, yeah. I mean, like we'll never get that because we're landlocked, but Vancouver was really cool just to like, come back to that. But as a passenger, I definitely want to go to the Caribbean. I mean, I don't know if there's any other ones because I want a short cruise, so 3 or 4 nights, or like a 7. The St. Thomas St. Martin run is really good. I remember the casinos in St. Martin. I was like,
sketchy as hell.
Yeah, but I was winning in slots. I never win in slots. When I went to one slot, I was like winning. And then I go to the one beside it, and then I got a bonus. I'm like, wow, what's going on with this place? Though I wouldn't play blackjack or anything, but it was like, I remember playing. I remember playing roulette. When I was working on the ships and we were in St. Martin, I was playing roulette, and then like Pippa knows Chris because they were at work together. He'd be like, "What are you betting?" And I like place all my bets, and then he would just bet the opposite, and I never hit anything, and then he won all of this money based on like my bad luck. So I was like, yeah, that was really nice. So
me and Kevin, remember the guy that was on, Kevin O'Donnell? I told him, did we tell you our system? Because Kevin's a big guy, right? And he's a super friendly guy, he's a super nice guy, but he's a big guy. And there's me, I'm not big at all, and whatever. And we had this system. It was like we go in, we get those match plays, and we're like, yeah, we don't care. This is about fun. But it's like on blackjack, under 11 stay, over 11 double. That was it. And like we both play the same way. We're like, I don't care. They'd be like, you have 9. I'm like, I don't care. I have an ace. I don't care. Yeah. But yeah, and it was just funny, like, you know, doubling, watching people go crazy, doubling like a 13 against a 6. We're like, oh, I'm gonna double. Oh yeah, and the other part as well was parlay till you lose. That was the other way. So we just, okay, if it wins, keep going until it loses.
Get your booty downstairs. Michaela has never told you how.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think, oh yeah, the Google Home, it just went off. I was like, what's going on there? It's like I'm in the seance. Yeah,
Oh,
it's something.
that's
Yeah,
great.
it's a Ouija board.
Okay. All right. Sterling says, I gotta leave. Need some beauty sleep.
See you, buddy.
Take care. Joey says, I'd love to go to Norway on the fjords with a cruise to see the Northern Lights.
Oh,
That was cool. I did that one. We went to Hannesvag, which is in like the Arctic Circle, and they talk about the midnight sun, and it's surreal where, you know, the sun doesn't set. It gets to about, you know, 30 degrees, whatever, literally, and you're like, oh, and then it goes back up again. But it's, and then in obviously the winter, it's just like complete darkness. So it was, yeah, it was weird. It was cool. Like Norway was wonderful, but it's, in all honesty, it's a lot like the mountains in Canada, right? I mean, like, it's beautiful, you see it. But Norway was wonderful. Super expensive, but wonderful. It was really pretty.
Cool. Joy says, Jay mentioned bingo. That's what I'm running on the night. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, but we do different bingo. They even have bingo calls.
Oh, yeah.
They literally, oh yeah, like, you know, like here, like, you know, but it'd be like legs 11, and all like they used to anyway. But they literally have bingo callers would have calls, not like here, like B32.
That would be, you could play like punishment bingo. So like when they start getting more drunk, if they call bingo when they don't actually have it, then you can have like punishment cards. They do it at a bar here, and then like when they win like prizes and stuff. It would be like a lot of fun. Like there was this one that was like, you have to eat like a spoonful of like that Kraft dinner cheese, and you just poof it out like Puff the Magic Dragon. Like
that sounds awesome.
A lot of fun punishment stuff, like write your name with your butt in the air, like fun things like that. Punishment bingo.
That's pretty cool. I think I've said this before, but in Costa Rica, you see, like, you can put roulette and bingo together because they use like a bingo wheel in order to replace the roulette wheel, and then they would just pick out the actual number from the bingo thing, and they'd be like 2 black, and just put it in. They couldn't afford a wheel, right? So then they're like running this thing, and then they would look away and they'd like reach in and then pull out the number. All right, 32 red. Not sketchy at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like it.
Man. Yeah. You gotta shout out to John. John, you are awesome. So that's from Rolo.
Oh, Rolo. Oh, I was like,
Brenda.
Is that my kid telling me again? Oh, John, you're awesome. I'm like, okay, I just heard you on my on the Google Home.
Your kid or your Google Home telling you you're awesome?
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? I think, you know, like you can go, like you can broadcast with him. I think that was them broadcasting. Like,
yeah,
we have about 5 of them. I think they're like scattered around my house. They're like,
nice.
Yeah, they go. See,
okay, couple.
Doctor's orders number 9. Favorite of mine, Downing Street number 10. Yeah, there you go. They do. It's kind of. It was kind of literally. It was kind of like bingo calls. Like crap calls on bingo. It was really, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Bingo's a religion, so sick of it.
All right. Wow, we cracked an hour. Look at that. On a nice chill Wednesday. It's 2 of my favorite people. That's great. Yeah, I think we covered everything. Well, I don't know. Do you want to talk about that poker thing, Dani?
Nah. I feel like everyone in the poker community is talking about it. Like,
always.
Yeah, you know, anything like small happens, like one girl makes a dumb call, they're gonna talk about it for like years to come until the next dumb person does something dumb. That's the new topic.
Okay, we'll just park that and we'll put it in the parking lot. until you feel like you want to talk about it, Danny. Brenda says, John, I wish we could deal dice together. Too much fun. Oh my god.
Oh, I still love
John-
dealing dice. I had so much fun dealing. Oh well, I can't see what it's like for the people who dealt with me, but I enjoyed myself. That's what I can say.
Yeah, next level for sure. I mean, it wasn't even like working, honestly. I mean, like when you had bad players, yeah, it was working, but a lot of the time we're able to like deal and talk at the same time, and that was like the coolest thing about it. I miss it. And there's a lot of us, like, you know, like from this podcast, all the guests that have come in, like, I mean, if we all like work together, it would just be amazing. Yeah, it would be fun.
No, it was so much fun, and I think it's, you know, it was a lot of the times it was so there was an inter conversation, and then there was the game that was going on around us, right? So you'd be talking amongst yourselves. The players a lot of times didn't know what you were talking about, and then it was literally it reminded me, like, you know, where sometimes you speak, like, you know, it's like a different language you don't understand. You know, there was slang you kind of have in the casino that the players don't understand, and like you're like, oh, you know, whatever, blah blah blah. You said like paper hat. You used to call them paper hats all the time on the ships. Oh yeah, paper hat on the band. You're like, oh god, that guy. Yeah, okay, yeah. But I mean, like, it was just, I don't know. It was one of the most enjoyable jobs I ever had. Anyway, I think, you know, in my career was dealing games.
Yep.
With the right people, of course.
Of course, yeah. All it takes is like one bad apple. I'm not making fun. That's the other thing too.
I like just as quick, because I, you know, obviously we've got we're over an hour. But the first place I worked, they had a boxman, and all he did was work days. Like me at the end of my career, I only worked days. But this guy would eat so much. He was a big guy and he sweated a lot, and he would eat so much garlic the night before, and he thought he was funny. Like literally 25, 30 cloves in his meals, and it was just the next day he would sweat. And you could smell all that garlic coming out of him. And me and my friends, you know, we'd been partied. We'd had like 9 minutes sleep, and we came straight to work. And you're there, and he's next to you, and he would purposely come really close to you, and you're dealing, and you're like going, because you could just smell this like garlicky, sweaty smell coming from this guy. And at the time, you know, during the day, it used to be like for the first couple of hours, there'd only be one end open because it was quiet. So that you'd have like 40 minutes next to this guy, and you're like, bleh, bleh. And he used to love it because he knew, like, he was kind of a strange man, but you know, he knew the game. He knew the game. He knew every player's. Like, technically, he was great, but oh man, he was one of the most strangest antisocial people. Like, yeah, it was just weird. So then it wasn't fun to deal. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I like it. It's just. It's like one person, right? You have a whole crew, and it's just like the one guy that just ruins it.
He would just emanate. You know, like, remember Charlie Brown? There was that, like, was his pig pen, and it was just that thing around him. That was him. It's, you know, his name's Stuart, and it was like this mass around him. It was like this sweaty garlic smell that all us hungover guys would come in and be like, oh my god, yeah. No, it was mad.
No, yeah, there's a lot of stinky guy stories for sure. So we had so like just last one before we do our shout outs, but yeah, there was a guy that he was like smelling. They asked him to leave and then take a shower, come back. He went to the water park and he took a shower there because he didn't leave the mall, and then he came back after. I was like, oh.
Did he take a shower, or did he just go for a swim?
Yeah, well, he claimed that he took a shower there.
That's an expensive shower. Do you know how much money it is to go like to the water park there? It's like $45 a person.
Yeah, to be honest, now I'm just questioning. I'm like, in West End, there's all those kind of like wet things, you know, like the fountains. Did he just jump in the fountain? And then he's like, I'm not paying $45. That's 9 hands of blackjack.
Those fountains are so lame now. They used to be like huge, right? Now they're just little dinky ones that just put the water up.
It's like, oh.
I mean, they're like maybe like this shallow, right? So then I guess if he was like, he'd have to like lie down and roll around in order to get like fully wet, because there's no water in them anymore. god, so gross. All right. Oh man, okay. I don't know where this episode has gone, but let's do our final shout out. So Dani, anyone you want to say hi to?
Just shout out to everyone on Jay's YouTube. You are beautiful.
Oh, that's very sweet. I love the return of your toque. haven't
Thank
worn
you.
that
I
for a
found it.
while. I'm so glad. I am so glad to see that again. John.
Excuse me. Yeah, this has been fun. It always is. And it goes so fast. I'm like, oh my God, an hour and 10. And I'll shout out to my kid downstairs who's using the Google Home to kind of like Ouija board me into think that, to go downstairs. And you guys, obviously, it's always great chatting up with you guys. And we just had 2 people from the UK. Weirdly enough, on this call, we had more people chatting from the UK than we had from Canada.
Yeah,
we're coming back.
This is a rough Wednesday. I don't know. There's not much going on for sure. I think people are tired, not happy with like the hockey games and the results and stuff, and that's okay. That's okay. You can be upset.
I'm not mad.
Dani doesn't mind. Her team's doing well.
I'm not mad at all.
No, not at all. You're very happy. Joy says, "Right, guys, great show. Taking my dog out for a walk." I don't know.
I'm
your
looking
accent.
5 p.m. ticket. Have a good. See ya, Joey.
Shout out. What is it today? It is October 19th. Well, the year's 2022. I know this is gonna stay on YouTube. So shout out to my son for pulling the most amazing thing out of a pack of cards. I don't think it's ever gonna get better than that. And I'm sure like when you're 18 watching this, you're going to be like, yeah, you're right. It never got better than that.
It was all downhill. Thanks, Dad.
It's like you could have watched. Yeah. You could have won the Lotto Max or something else, but no, you won this trip.
Or he watches this in 18 years and he's like, what the hell? I never went. My mum and dad went.
Yeah.
I won a ticket and they went.
That's the thing. I don't want to like, pump your tires or anything, son. I know you're older, you're watching this now, but I'm very very concerned as to where we're actually going because
you apologize to your future son that I'm sorry, son. I didn't mean to lie that it was just a Willy Wonka fake ticket. Your mom and I had a great time. It was wonderful. I hope you had a good time in your uncle's house for the weekend.
Yeah. We're hoping. I don't want to do that. Thanks a lot, John. You just like put me on the spot.
All of a sudden you're like, the cat's out of the bag. Going. This is what okay.
Yeah, we're all going. We're like Lindsay doesn't watch hockey. So like Dani watches more hockey than Lindsay. She can name like one person in the whole league, and I think it's Connor McDavid, and that's it. Oh no, she said Sidney Crosby, so the 2 people. She doesn't even know like Leon Draisaitl or anybody else, and that's fine. So she chose, she's letting us watch the game, so that it's my son's first time ever watching a game, which is going to be really cool. But she wants to come, so we're gonna get her a ticket, no matter where it is, and she's praying for like good food and just good shopping. So hopefully it's New York.
Awesome.
Yeah, hopefully cool. It's New York against Vegas, so that it's like the best of both. Who knows?
Can you imagine if it's in Arizona in that 5,000 seats?
Arizona, Winnipeg, Minnesota. It's like all these. Like I don't know about that. Actually, no, it doesn't matter. I mean, whatever. It's a Stanley Cup game,
whatever
right?
it is. Look, my hand disappeared. It was like, oh, anyway. Okay. I gotta go. This has been really fun. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Okay, everyone. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.